And this hangout is on air live once again. And I am speaking with Jim Anderson once again. We're going to pick up where we left off last week. So, anything major happened in the last week, Jim?
No, nothing really in particular that I can think of.
And how about the blog? Have you had some epiphanies, or is it just kind of that ongoing natural unfolding?
I have ongoing natural epiphanies.
That's
But
good.
yeah, I would say that I'm always writing. I'm always writing. So the reason I write is because I have to get this stuff down on paper somewhere or down on screen somewhere. So yeah, I think things are coming through me all the time.
Very nice. And how about what you're observing in the larger society around us right now? Are you sensing any kind of a new thread of perhaps inspiration, awakening going on, or is it just more of the mundane?
Wow, that's a big question. I remember before the millennium that there was the Y2K thing that we were all concerned about, and I used to hang out at a bookstore in Chicago called Transitions, and it was a constant string of authors who would come in and talk about their books, and it was really interesting to hear all of the different takes that people had on the upcoming times in our lives. You know, the dawning of the age of Aquarius and what Edgar Casey said about the world changing and things like that. And I think it's all true. I think that we just have to keep a big step back and look at the big picture and realize that this is just a natural cycle that we're going through. It's according to people before, you know, like 20, 30, 40 years ago, this point in time is going to be one of intensity. And I think it was Edgar Casey who said it. It might have been Ross Peterson, actually, who was another sleeping prophet, who said that the age of Aquarius is bringing in a time of the changeover is a time of choosing, where there will be very strong divisions in society. And basically what we're choosing is we're choosing God or we're choosing man. We're choosing to stay people, or we're choosing to try and become the gods that we really are. And you can see the strong divisions in everything, in politics and in the arguments over all of our every little decision that we're making. People are taking strong sides. There's very little compromise because people are taking their position and sticking to it. And I think it's the intensity that we're going through right now is a way of teaching us. That's all it is. And we're going to learn one way or the other, whether it's by embracing the change or by fighting the change. We still ultimately learn from that intensity of energy. And so the people who are fighting it and who don't get it right now, that's okay. It's perfectly fine. It's still a part of their growth. It's still part of what they have to go through. And the people who embrace the change and want to move forward, that's great too. That's just it's just the way it works. And this is a very important time for us to see what works and what doesn't, what we want, what we don't, and whether we want to be God or whether we want to stay humans for a while.
All right. Well, one of the things I always referenced back was that era when Jesus was hanging out on the planet, and um, how disconnected they were. I mean, Jerusalem was right in the middle of all the trade routes, and so it was a hub and had a lot more going on. But as you went in any direction away from that region around Jerusalem and Damascus and you know um, that crossroads region, um, there was less and less interchange and communication, and so it seems like it took an awful long time for us to move through those two regions, the age of Aries and the age of Pisces, and now theoretically we're in the age of Aquarius, although, you know, if you look at it from an empirical scientific perspective, we're in about a 600-year transition. So it's going to be about another 550 years before we actually enter Aquarius. But I think that what's really happening more than anything else is this astonishing process of communication that is revealing things that in the past was perceived as hidden knowledge, the inner circles of wisdom, that sort of thing. Because we did have Gurdjieff, who talked about a lot of these things. We had, you know, a few people of that stature who tried to share this information, but society as a whole really wasn't at a stage where it could comprehend what was being presented to it.
Yeah. I don't think that's any different right now. As a matter of fact, very short-term thinkers in general, we tend to just see what's in front of our faces, and we don't really look at the big picture or see, you know, what's going to happen tomorrow, as much as, you know, what we need today. So but that's the nature of humanity, I suppose.
Yeah, and humanity, as we, you know, define it, as we envision it, actually is just the machinations of the ego. And of course, 90% of humanity is invested in their ego, and the last thing we want to do is step away from it. But
yep.
It seems like we're being set up with stimulants that are going to be pushing us more and more in that direction.
Yeah.
Of having to confront that. You know, now it's getting beyond the mere realm of ethical behavior, and it's moving more into the realm of self-preservation. Are we going to snuff ourselves collectively here?
Yeah, well, I don't think that's going to happen, but we might damage ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, we just end up hitting the reset button and
yeah,
start off in another pond of slime and slowly drag ourselves back into being Homo sapien again.
Yep.
Well, now, last time we were chatting, we were talking about the holy instant, and it's interesting because the course devotes an entire chapter to the holy instant, and in one part here is in section 4, practicing the holy instant. It says the holy instant is this instant and every instant. The one you want it to be, it is. Now that's quite a fascinating thought. Have you looked at the holy instant from that perspective, that every instant of your life could be the holy instant? It's just up to you to make that conscious decision.
Yeah, and I think the course is very, very circular in the way it talks. It's no different from prayer. Every moment of your life is also prayer, because every moment of your life, you're communicating with yourself and with God what you are, who you are, what you believe, and that is what's manifesting as your life. The holy instant is the same thing. If you're choosing at any moment to be human, then you're sort of blocking off that that avenue of communication from yourself. If you're choosing to let go of that humanity and see yourself as God, then you're allowing the holy instant to work in your life.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like there is a physiological phenomenon that occurs with the holy instant? Do you feel like there is an actual experience to be had that would delineate that experience that would validate it for you that yes, something did happen. I entered an altered space.
The best answer to that is sometimes. Yes or no. And it depends on you, it depends on the incident, it depends on a lot of things. But I think there are many holy instances that we have that we aren't aware of at all. And I think there are some that are that strike us as epiphanies or aha moments or something even more powerful as a miracle that we can see. But it depends on the moment. They take whatever form they need to take.
So that would indicate that there is an exterior process that occurs that causes an interior shift. Is that
No? I don't think that's true. I think
okay?
it's something that you have to do with your attitude, your mind. You have to believe something, and then you notice it perhaps physically, but it takes place interiorly. It takes place inside. It might be noticeable in the physical world because that's where we tend to see things, but not all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that in addition, in other parts of the Course, Jesus mentions that um, that the experience of the holy instant is as simple as forgetting about yourself or forgetting about your body just for even a few seconds, and that releases you and you experience something beyond this day-to-day humdrum that we're trapped in, or uh, that we've allowed ourselves to be trapped in.
Right. I think that's why meditation is so powerful for so many people, because it's the time when you put aside your senses and you're in your monkey mind and you just allow something to come through, or you allow nothing, whatever way you want to look at it. But I think that when you shut yourself off as a human, you will start to feel yourself as the Son of God.
Right. Now, just out of curiosity, how often are you able to actually attain that space of a completely empty mind? Because I find that I work with my meditation practice daily, but to have an extended experience of just emptiness, of nothingness, seems to be very, very difficult to attain. Uh, how often do you feel like you slide into that zone?
Well, I don't know if I can quantify it for you, but I know it happens every once in a while. It's something that I'm getting better at. I don't know how long I maintain it, but it does work, and it's my meditation experiences are so all over the place, and it's I should say it's more of a linear progression, but my meditations change almost on a weekly basis. It's and sometimes I feel like I've hit a plateau, and then I go up, and then sometimes I feel like I'm going backwards. But to say that I've hit a place where I can shut off my mind when it happens, and it feels like a profound moment where I'm not there, but I can sense my being, that happens maybe a couple of times a year, I would guess.
Mm-hmm. And within that, do you, when you are back in your body, as it were, do you feel like there has been some kind of an alteration that you're able to carry with you as you move forward into the future?
I think it's more cumulative, for me anyway. And I think meditation is different for everybody, just as everything is individual. I think everybody's path is designed for them. And I think that for me, I can only speak for myself, but my meditations the benefits seem to accumulate. They seem to be, they seem to build up and stay with me.
Hmm. And kind of rounding it out around the holy instant, there is a discussion. Um, Actually, I think it's the next chapter where they talk about the holy instant and relationships, the special relationship. Um, do you feel like with your meditation and with your spiritual practice, does that create more of a bridge in relationships for you and significant relationships, intimate relationships? Or do you feel like there's still a division between you and your partner?
Um, I would like to give credit to meditations and my spiritual practice over many, many years, but I have to say that the biggest shift happened for me when I read the Course and started to forgive. That was more profound in a short amount of time than my meditations have been over many, many years. And so I do say that my meditations have helped tremendously, but forgiveness has helped more.
Right. Okay. And uh, as far as envisioning, the next step as far as your own evolution, do you have a set of goals? Do you have some standards that you've established, or are you just leaving it open-ended?
Um, I've always been very laid back and goal oriented at the same time. I think since the Course, I've pretty much let most of my goals slip away. And because I realized that I can have an idea for what I want and I can shoot for something, but to hang on to that or to make it important is just getting in my own way. So yeah, I have things I want to do. I have things I want to still accomplish, but if I don't, I will be fine with that as well.
Right, and that actually kind of loops back into that idea we were talking about earlier, and how a lot of times the events and the circumstances that it seems like is being orchestrated by that higher power, the Holy Spirit, um, causes us to have to surrender our the things we desire to achieve to allow a higher way of expression to occur within us and around us.
Our desires are the things that got us into this mess. So I think letting go of your own will and understanding that it really just doesn't matter what happens in this world, except what you do to react to the things that happen to you in the name of forgiveness. That's all that really matters. It really is all that matters. And I know that we really want this life to be important, but it really just isn't. And it's a very hard thing for us to accept. It's hard for me to accept. But the more I understand it and the more I live it, the more I realize it's true. It just doesn't matter. This is not what's important.
Yeah, and I think that again, when we're living in our small little worlds with all of our day-to-day activities, we lose sight of that. But then, when you actually look up in the heavens and realize that there's infinity out there, and that this is a tiny little planet on the edge of a not terribly important galaxy spinning around in the midst of a universe that is just one of billions. That reduces everything to uh, kind of the bottom line. So, working both from empirical science as well as from Course in Miracles, when we start to step back, we do in fact get that realization that this is so trivial and uh, um, so unimportant that it's almost painful for us.
It's also the way it's all our reaction to that smallness is also what the ego does to try and make it bigger. we try so hard to become big, to be unique, and to be different, and to be separate, and to be to make our mark, and to, you know, really make ourselves stand out, because we're trying not to feel small. And what we don't realize is that letting go of all of that desire to be big is the ultimate thing that's going to help you be everything.
Right. So getting beyond the pursuit of the trivial really is to release those desires that we equate with our humanness.
Yes.
And apart from the holy instant and forgiveness, is there anything else that really stands out in the Course, as far as you're concerned, that has been very transformative?
Well, yeah, you know, the Course blows me away every time I read it, with ideas that are just phenomenal. But the idea that this is a dream is obviously a big one. I've mentioned that before. And I think the way it explains psychology and the way that we react to things, and why the world works the way it does, you know, the things that we do psychologically all go back to the same thing, and that is that we're trying to create something and support something that doesn't exist. That's a pretty profound statement. That's a pretty major thing for me, to see that all of the things that we do with our mind, to all the games we play with each other, all the things that we keep secret from each other and from ourselves, all the denial that we have, all the BS, all the desire to acquire power in this world, money and position and power over other people. It's all just a game to try and make something important that isn't even there. It's quite phenomenal the way the Course lays out this life and describes it.
Yeah, that's definitely a fact. And the thing I find interesting is that you can read the Course, you know, once a year over a 10-year period, and every time you're reading it, you're getting another layer of perspective that comes through. And finally, you do arrive at that position where you realize how irrelevant and insignificant everything in this material world is, and yet how people put, you know, all of their effort and desire and belief and commitment into, you know, saving the whales and restoring the rainforests and all of these things. And yet the truth is, we've been trying to make this perfect for 8,000 years of recorded history, and we haven't edged anywhere near being a step closer. It seems like we're actually taking steps backwards.
Yeah, well, it might appear that we're taking steps backwards, but we really can't see the big picture. The other thing to notice is that even though those things don't matter, like you said, saving the whales, for instance, that still might be somebody's special function. That still might be why they were born, because through that process of saving whales, they might find something else bigger about themselves. So all this stuff that we do here might not be important in the big picture, but it might be important for individuals in their own personal path to getting somewhere where they never would have gotten without that seemingly unimportant path that they took in this lifetime.
Right. So ultimately, all of the things that we are attached to and committed to are going to lead us down that alley, where at the end of the alley we discover the nothingness of it all. And were it not for having taken that journey, you know, between dumpsters, we never would have been able to actually figure that out.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to take all the steps. You got to take all the steps sideways, backwards, and forwards until it stops working for you, till this world stops working.
And then what happens when this world stops working?
Well, then you still have more choices. It depends again on the individual, but some people get depressed. Some people commit suicide. Some people move into the woods and send bombs to other people. Some people become religious. Some people immerse themselves in something else. But ultimately, everybody gets to a point where they say there's got to be something better, and then they start looking for it. There's a point where you start looking, what is beyond this world? What is it that I'm missing? And eventually we're all going to get to the same place. We're all going to find our own pathway out of here with the help of the Holy Spirit working with us behind the scenes.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I've often thought that, you know, the greatest challenges, the most horrific experiences that you have in life, the things that devastate you and fracture you and break you into pieces, frequently are the way that that ultimately you are able to escape yourself and all of the things that you're imagining that are happening. So it is a very complex process for a very simple outcome.
Yeah, all of our pain is caused by our resistance, and all of us pretty much are resisting. We want to be human. If we didn't, we wouldn't be here. And so we're all going to experience some sort of pain in varying degrees and varying, you know, varying ways, just until we let go of that resistance. And then we'll feel other pain in another area, another aspect of our lives, until we let go of that resistance. So, yeah, it's a long process. And the Course says, you know what, let go of all of it. It's much easier. It's much easier to let go of the whole thing.
Yes, that is the ultimate final solution, and that is the ultimate step we'll all eventually take.
Yeah.
At some point. But well, this has been very pleasant having another episode here, and I'm sure as we continue to move forward, we can continue these chats. Perhaps next week, if you would like to dialogue, we could take a look at what is currently the primary theme that you're working on with your blog and with the book.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that.
Great. Well, I'll see you in another week, Jim, and you have a fabulous week, and keep posting on that blog.
Okay, thank you.
Great.